I think more people come here to understand who they are. And with that being said, and understanding who you are, you're on a path of truth. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. A path of truth. Don't want to debate anything because most debates have counters, and people will counter whatever you say with something else. And it's mostly a trap, either for the Christian or the atheist or the skeptic. I heard you called yourself a skeptic, so I'm not really sure who I'm talking to right now. So that's my thing. My name is John. I've had a rough life. I've seen things, I've heard things. And whether you believe that or not doesn't really matter, because you're going to believe what you want to believe. And the best thing that I can do on this live stream is pretty much try, as imperfect as I am, to speak the truth. And that's what I'm here for.
That's perfect. You're really interested in a pathway to truth. What would you say, like, how would you go about getting there, or how could people get to that position?
Well, my pathway to truth and your pathway to truth may not be the same kind of truth. It may not be the same pathway. Some pathways are more violent than others. Some pathways are easier. But how I would say that anyone would get to a truth or the absolute truth is to try to ground it. Try to ground it in reason and logic. And the closer you can get to doing that, then I believe that is the closer you get to finding what truth is.
Sure. And so in regards of truth to, I guess we would call it ultimate truth or something, however you'd want to phrase it, like what method would you use? Do you rely on some evidence, or would you say it's faith? How would you go about determining that specifically?
Depending on who I'm talking to would also depend on what term I'm using. Some people are unbelievers. There's 3 positions to hold. You believe, you don't believe, or you just don't know. A believer, an atheist, or skeptic, or agnostic atheist, or atheist agnostic, however you want to phrase it. And I believe that a person who calls himself an agnostic atheist is just an atheist without balls to say that they don't believe. But many positions that other people hold, as far as skepticism and atheism, are sometimes very deceitful. And I agree that sometimes even Christians don't know their position, and believers. To paint a label on my back right now and call myself a Christian to you, that would leave myself wide open for a lot of deception, not only through my subjectivity, but through you and through many of your viewers. So like I said, I'm only going to speak about the truth as much as possible without letting my subjectivity control and rule what I'm talking about. Because there's 2 sides to everyone.
Could you define that for me? What do you mean more specifically about that?
What do you mean?
You're saying you wouldn't want to let it rule your subjectivity, but it kind of sounds like what you're saying is you wouldn't want to specifically get into the Christian aspect of it, but more so the God aspect of it. Am I hearing you right? I just want to make sure I hear you right.
So, as a person who you've been talking to a lot of Christians lately, right?
I have for the last 15 years.
Okay. So do you understand what subjective moral values are?
It depends on the person, but yeah, sure. I mean, I have a general understanding.
All right.
And do you understand subjective, it would vary.
Do you, as far as you talking to Christians, do you understand what objective moral duties are?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, do you understand that you also have a duality within you?
What would that duality be?
Good and bad, right and wrong.
Sure. Okay.
Your ability to do good and bad, right and wrong.
Sure. Okay.
Free will. Okay. So if you understand that part about most people, not just Christians, but people in general, that there is a good and a bad, and they have a choice to do good or bad, right? My question is, how do you ground that good or bad? How do you know what's good and how do you know what's bad unless you ground it in absolute truth?
It's a good question.
Do you believe in absolute truth?
Do I believe in absolute truth? Well, Do I believe I can personally obtain absolute truth? Probably not. But to answer your other question in regards to the absolute or objective sense of the morality, I take it that you do believe in objective morality, correct?
I believe in objective morality. I do.
Cool. Okay. How would you, if yours is objective and it's set for you, how would you be able to tell the difference if Satan, say, was had set your objective standard, or Allah? How would you know the difference between who set the objective standard?
Logical consistency, empirical adequacy, and experiential relevance.
To what specifically?
To whatever it is you're implying.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just generally trying to narrow the scope down because we're a little broad.
You implied if Satan or Allah were to set the objective standard, how would I know?
Yeah, as opposed to Yahweh or whatever God you would believe in.
Logical consistency, experiential relevance, and empirical adequacy.
Okay,
and it all makes sense and everything. Like I said, that's the thing that you're doing now, is you're setting it up, and that's fine. I see it ahead of time.
I'm not trying to set anything up. I'm trying to get clarification.
Right, but you're still not going to see it even if I tell you. Here's the reason why you're not going to see it, because
why don't we try?
Okay, well, your belief system, or what are you, atheist or a skeptic?
Well, I mean, that's
I'm giving you what I believe. What are you?
I was going to say it would be good to kind of understand where I'm coming from. I would say I'm a skeptic. If you convince me a God exists, or if someone else convinced me a God exists, the atheist label goes away, but I will remain a skeptic. I will always apply that to every aspect of my life. So I would say I'm a skeptic.
Are you skeptic about skepticism?
Am I skeptic about skepticism? I don't believe in absolute truth. So doesn't that already answer the question?
How do you know that there isn't an absolute truth?
I don't know that. I'm saying I don't know if I can obtain absolute truth as a mere human.
How do you know you can't? How do you know that you don't know if you can?
See, and I knew you would ask this question, but there's not a how do I know? You're already answering my question for me. You're already answering your own question, because if I am saying that I don't think there's absolute truth, that applies to however you phrase that question. Doesn't matter if you turn it on to my own skepticism. That's the entire point of skepticism, is that I can't even be sure about my own skepticism, but I can be sure about probabilistic assessments. That's the best I can do until someone else can show me another way out of the reality. Say there is another, what if you take a matrix theory or any other type of theory, until you can actually show me that, I'm stuck with the tools that I have in front of me. And
so you believe in probability?
Probabilistic assessment, but for the most part, yeah, probability is a pretty good way to determine things.
Okay.
But can we shift back to when you're saying the objective moral and grounding that?
Right.
Because you're saying that you wouldn't be able to potentially convince me, but my whole thing is, I feel like anyone could convince me. I'm all about evidence. Everything that goes through that standard goes through the same rigorous testing. Like nothing gets past it for free. It's all the same. It's the same treatment. It's like concrete. If you hit concrete, it's gonna hurt. Doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. Any of those factors don't matter. It's gonna hurt everybody. It goes through the same steps. So I guess my thing is,
you believe in evidence.
Mm-hmm.
How much evidence would it take for you to believe in a God?
How much?
What kind of evidence? Yeah. Well, let me rephrase the question. If I could prove that God was true, would you become a Christian?
If you could prove God was true, no. If you could prove Yahweh was true, yes.
Well,
God encompasses thousands of gods, so that doesn't narrow it down for me.
Right. The Christian guy said, would you become a Christian?
If it was Yahweh, yes. If you showed me Jesus Christ rose from the dead, or if I could know that Jesus Christ was our Lord and Savior, yes, I would be a Christian, of course.
How many monotheistic beliefs are there?
I don't know. Too many for me to. I guess this is why the null hypothesis is an important thing, because too many for me to go and check them all out, as opposed to me look at the observable data or the empirical data and then make a conclusion based on that, and none of those point in the direction of any of those gods. So it would be better to.
There's a lot of evidence that points to the Christian God.
Sure. What would that be?
What would you like?
Anything.
The Fibonacci sequence. Tetragrammaton.
How is the Fibonacci? How is the?
It points to a God. It points to a fingerprint in nature.
Could your
Why do you want-
understanding of that be potentially wrong?
Okay, you can dismiss that.
No,
Would
not
I- would you
dismissing
like
it.
to know?
I'm just asking you. I'm trying to gauge where your standards are. This is all I'm trying to do. Because when you say
My
the
standards
Fibonacci
are with
sequence,
God.
sure, but when you say
You're who you would consider Yahweh. I'll start to say Yahweh so we can be
hold
clear.
on, there's a lot of questions going, so let's try to hone this back into like one question at a time, because we've jumped from morality to
Right.
absolute truth. And I want to kind of stick it on wherever we can stick it. You can choose, doesn't matter, but I want to kind of stick on topic. When you say things like, this points to God, and you just say that, why wouldn't you also feel compelled to actually show me why? Because I could say, my arcade cabinet proves Raiden exists, and then you would be like, okay, can you show me how that's the case? And that would be a logical question to
I
ask.
understand that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's more than just one game or one Raiden. It's a multiple of things. Love, energy, frequency. There's more to it than just that, which you and many other atheists deny hundreds upon thousands of evidences all over.
What are those evidence? When you say love,
course,
how does
you accept evolution.
this is
Go
still
ahead,
the
I'll let
same.
you finish.
Hold on. First off, we won't straw man anybody into a position on the show. Like, we don't need to get into I believe in the Big Bang or evolution. We just leave that. Just if that's the case, just ask me. Go, do you believe in evolution or do you believe in the Big Bang? Because the number one thing that atheists kind of get pissed off about is when someone goes, you believe something came from nothing, or you believe this. It's like the only thing we actually share as atheists is that we don't believe in a God. And most of which I don't even agree with half the shit they're saying. We just agree on one position. They might be a flat earther for all I know. I don't know why I'm being told to hold on but when you say things like love, for example, how exactly, when you just mentioned that, you said the Fibonacci sequence, you said love, you only just gave me this proves this without showing the causal link. Now, no, show me how those things get you to God.
Intelligent design, free will.
How you're still just saying something, like you're not actually giving me evidence, because intelligent design hasn't been proven. In fact, the evidence points directly against intelligent design. So I take it you would be someone who holds the teleological argument as a pretty good argument. No,
teleological argument, yes.
Okay. Why would you think the teleological argument's a good argument?
Why do I think it's a good argument? Because you have to have the first mover, the unmoved mover.
How did you determine that?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
The universe expanding, it had a beginning. If there's a beginning, there's a cause.
So now we're in the
someone or a mind or a personal intelligence had to cause that cause, correct? There's cause and effect.
No.
Even cause and effect.
First off, things that we know
for
about
the
quantum
universe to be even this complex.
Let me answer real quick. First off, we haven't. You're going off the Kalam cosmological argument now, which is the universe had a cause. I vehemently disagree with that first premise. I don't say it's not necessarily not true, but I disagree with that we've established the universe as a cause. We haven't determined that at all. And if anything, in quantum physics, we're actually seeing zero-sum energy universe where we have particles popping in and out of existence, which completely can be construed in a lot of different ways, which is why we have people that might be idealists and things like that. Bear with me. I see you waving your finger, but you can't just say it had a cause, therefore God, because this is like your objective moral standard. Even if we agree the universe had a cause, or even if we agree there's an objective moral standard, you haven't shown a being. You've just said there's an objective standard. And even if I agreed that we had an objective standard, you still have to show the causal link to God. Did he back out, or what happened?